Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is Renuka RS with the evening news. The headlines. NEET postgraduate examination postponed. Next date to be decided later, says Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. Sufficient stock of medical oxygen is available in the country, the centre assures the states. Drugs Controller General of India to take decision on usage of foreign COVID-19 vaccines within 3 days of their applications. Over 11 crore 44 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered in the country so far. Union Home Secretary holds a high-level meeting to review COVID-19 situation in Madhya Pradesh. Weekend curfew to be imposed in national capital from tomorrow night to contain the spread of COVID-19. Class 10th and 12th board examinations postponed by several state governments. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asks Indian Air Force to draw up long-term strategies to counter future threats. India is looking towards kick-starting hydrogen ecosystem development, says Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Campaigning concludes for by-polls to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 assembly constituencies across the country. Voting ends peacefully for the first phase of Panchayat elections in 18 districts of Uttar Pradesh. And in IPL cricket, match underway between Rajasthan Royals and Delhi Capitals at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, take all the precautions, and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. The government today decided to postpone the National Eligibility cum Entrance Test Postgraduate NEET PG Examination 2021 in view of the surge in COVID-19 cases. The next date of the exam will be decided later after reviewing the situation. The examination was scheduled to be held on 18th of this month. In a tweet, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said the decision has been taken keeping the well-being of young medical students in mind. Amid the growing demands of medical oxygen in the country, the government has assured that sufficient stock of oxygen is available in the country. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has informed that the present oxygen stocks are more than 50,000 metric tons in the country. It also informed that the country's daily production capacity of oxygen is more than 7,000 metric tons and the production capacity has further scaled up. The central government has asked the states to make rational use of medical oxygen and avoid wastage to fulfill the growing demands. The Empowered Group has also initiated action to ensure the sufficient availability of medical oxygen. Mapping of the surplus sources with states that have greater need for oxygen such as Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi is being finalized in consultation with the manufacturers, the states and other stakeholders.
The Central Drug Regulator, DCGI, will now take decisions on usage of foreign COVID vaccines in the country within 3 days of their application. The centre today informed this along with issuing regulatory pathway for emergency use authorization of COVID-19 vaccines approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration, European Medicines Agency, United Kingdom's Medicine and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, Japan's Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Agency, or are listed in WHO emergency use listing. The government had earlier on Tuesday approved a significant fast-tracking system for quicker access to foreign COVID-19 vaccine. The Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, while issuing latest regulatory pathway for granting emergency approval to foreign COVID vaccines, has said that such applications will be processed and decision will be taken by the DCGI within 3 working days from the date of submission of complete application by the applicant company or pharma organization. However, it added the permission for restricted use in emergency situation would be granted with the condition that vaccines will be used in the country as per the guidelines prescribed under National COVID-19 Vaccination Program. Coronavirus cases are increasing rapidly in the country. The rapid rise in the COVID-19 cases has increased the active caseloads in the several states and union territories. However, the vaccination drive is progressing smoothly in the various parts of the country. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has informed today that over 11.44 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered. The ministry further informed that a record number of over 2 lakh new cases have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours. This is the first time when the country has registered over 2 lakh new cases in a single day since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in the country.
All centrally protected monuments, sites and museums under Archaeological Survey of India has been closed with immediate effect till the 15th of next month. In a tweet, Union Culture and Tourism Minister Prahlad Singh Patel said the decision has been taken in view of the prevailing COVID-19 situation in the country. Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla today held a high-level meeting to review the status of COVID-19 and public health measures taken by Madhya Pradesh. In the last 2 weeks, the state has seen almost 79% increase in weekly new cases. During the meeting, it was pointed out that Bhopal, Indore, Gwalior and Khandwa are the most affected districts. The state was asked to curb non-essential movement of large groups of people and social gathering with an aim to prevent surge in cases and prevent mortality. The state health authorities were also asked to ensure rational utilization of oxygen in hospitals. It was also advised to increase the number of isolation beds, oxygen beds, ICU beds and ambulance fleet as per the requirement.
An all-party meeting was held in Chhattisgarh today to discuss the situation arising out of surge in COVID-19 cases and to curb the spread of infection. Our correspondent reports the virtual meeting was attended by Governor Anusuya Uike and Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel as well as representatives of various political parties.
Addressing the all-party meeting, Governor Untitled Chapter said that to prevent the spread of corona infection in Chhattisgarh, people coming from the Maharashtra needs to be tested. For this, quarantine centers should be set up in rural areas along with setting up a facility for COVID test at the border. She urged the heads of all political parties to make people aware of the measures to prevent the corona infection in rural areas. The governor said that to deal with the corona crisis, efforts has to be made above party politics so that human lives can be saved. Speaking on the occasion, Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel said that the state government is taking all possible measures to curb the pace of corona infection. He said the state government has fixed the rates of COVID test and its treatment so that the economic burden could be minimized on the corona-infected people. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Amid rising cases of COVID-19, a weekend curfew has been imposed in the national capital. It will be effective from 10 p.m. tomorrow till 5 a.m. on Monday. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal made the announcement while briefing the media today.
वीकेंड के ऊपर कर्फ्यू दिल्ली के अंदर लगाया जाएगा। इसका कारण ये है कि वर्किंग डेज के दौरान अपने काम पे जाना होता है, लेकिन वीकेंड में अक्सर जो लोग निकलते हैं वो अपने एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए या दूसरी एक्टिविटीज के लिए निकलते हैं जो कि कर्टेल की जा सकती है। इसीलिए चेन तोड़ने के लिए ताकि लोग ज्यादा संपर्क में न आए, वीकेंड के ऊपर कर्फ्यू लगाया जा रहा है।
However, during the weekend curfew, movement of persons for marriage-related gatherings up to 50% and funeral-related gatherings up to 20% will continue to be allowed. Earlier, a 7-hour night curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. was imposed in Delhi, which will remain there on the weekdays till 30th of April. Mall, gymnasiums, spas will remain completely closed in the city, whereas cinema halls have been directed to function at 30% of their capacity till 30th of this month. Only one weekly market per day per zone in all three municipal corporations, New Delhi Municipal Council and Delhi Cantonment Board will be allowed to open with the strict compliance of COVID guidelines. The Chief Minister assured the citizens that the situation in the city is under control and urged people not to insist for admission into any particular hospital during this time of pandemic. Mr. Kejriwal said more than 5,000 hospital beds are still available in the city.
The Delhi High Court has today allowed 50 people to offer namaz at Nizamuddin Markaz 5 times a day at the first floor of the building during Ramzan. While delivering the order, the High Court observed that if other places of worship are open in Delhi, Nizamuddin Markaz should not be closed. Odisha government has declared night curfew across the urban areas of all the 30 districts with effect from tomorrow, informing media about a series of COVID-19 containment measures taken by the state government today. Chief Secretary Suresh Chandra Mohapatra said that 10 out of the 30 districts that borders Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand will also face complete shutdown on weekends with effect from coming Saturday. We have a report.
The night curfew, already in place in 10 border districts of the state, has been rescheduled from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. instead of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to be effected in the urban areas. In addition, night curfew now stands extended to the municipal and NAC areas of the rest 20 districts and will be applicable from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. with effect from tomorrow. However, essential services have been allowed functional mobility during the curfew hours. In yet another major decision, while the state government has put a ban on various religious, cultural and political congregations, social functions like marriage ceremony will now have a maximum of 50 participants and death rituals a high of 20 participants. Meanwhile, the state government has postponed the impending board examination of the 10th and 12th classes of all government and aided schools while deciding to promote students of class 9th and 11th to the next higher classes without any examination. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
The first day of Janata Curfew evoked a mixed response in Maharashtra. While most non-essential shops remained shut, people could still be seen crowding to buy vegetables and fruits and many vehicles jamming urban roads. More from our correspondent.
Ratnagiri district saw strict implementation with those found roaming the streets without any valid reason being subjected to compulsory rapid antigen tests. The police vans were seen patrolling the roads throughout the day. In Sindhudurg too, people responded well to police's call to stay indoors except for a few who came out earlier in the day to buy essentials. Similar scenes were witnessed in Navi Mumbai, Raigad and Satara districts, where streets wore a deserted look and police vans were seen maintaining strict vigil. On the other hand, not much response was seen to the curfew call in Jalna, Nanded, Dhule, Pune, Mumbai and Nagpur region, where people were seen coming out on the streets for minor reasons and the police struggling to control the rush. Nisha Rani, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Kerala, as coronavirus cases continue to surge, the state government has decided to conduct 2.5 lakh tests for COVID-19 in the coming 2 days. We have a report.
After a high-level meeting under Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan today, it was decided that the government will adopt a three-pronged strategy to crush the COVID-19 curve in the state. Massive testing, stringent curbs and vaccination. All 14 districts have been asked to make arrangements for large-scale testing and attain the target fixed for each district. In the special testing drive, focus would be on high-risk categories of people such as frontline workers, those participating in election activities, those in COVID-19 hotspots, etc. Mobile RT-PCR testing units would be deployed in hotspots. Chief Secretary VP Joy informed that the available vaccine doses will be immediately distributed and the central government had promised that there will not be any shortage of vaccines. As part of the curbs, prior permission is made mandatory for all public functions. The participants for outdoor events were further limited to 150 and that of indoor to 75. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Several state governments have decided to postpone the Class 10th and 12th board examinations after the central government's decision to cancel the CBSE Class 10th board examination for this year and postponement of Class 12 exams due to the COVID-19 surge across the country. The high school and the intermediate examinations of the Uttar Pradesh board, Asia's largest education board, has been postponed. In the wake of the growing corona cases in Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath made this announcement after a meeting with the senior officials. He directed to postpone the exams till 20th of May and the new timetable of the examination will be released after a meeting of higher officials in the first week of next month. The Gujarat government has also postponed the state board examinations of class 10th and 12th. Both the examinations were scheduled to be held from 10th to 25th of May. Our Ahmedabad correspondent reports the decision has been taken in view of the deteriorating COVID-19 situation.
Class 10th and 12th examinations of Gujarat board have been postponed following the surge in COVID-19 cases in the state. According to official sources, the Gujarat government will review the situation on 15th of May and announce the new dates of the examination. The students will get at least 15 days time for the preparation between the announcement of the new schedule of examination and start of examinations. The state government has also suspended the offline teaching of class 1 to 12 across the state. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The Madhya Pradesh government has also postponed the board exams for class 10th and 12th in the wake of worsening COVID-19 situation. The exams were scheduled to be held from 30th of this month.
State's School Education Minister Inder Singh Parmar said that the board exams will now be conducted after May 30. The department will soon issue the fresh date sheet for class 10th and 12th board exams. Meanwhile, the state government also announced summer vacation for class 1 to 8 students. The government schools will be closed till June 13, while private schools have instructed to remain closed till April 30 in view of the surge in COVID-19 cases. Madhya Pradesh reported more than 9,000 new COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Assam Education Minister Hemant Biswa Sarma hinted that the metric examinations will be held as per schedule. Talking to newspersons in Guwahati, the minister said that model code of conduct is being enforced in the state and any decision in this regard would be taken by the new government. The Secondary Education Board of Assam also said that there is no plan to postpone the metric examination as of now.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will chair a virtual meeting of the presiding officers of legislative bodies in the country on Monday over the COVID-19 situation. The meeting will discuss the role and responsibility of public representatives during this pandemic.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. NEET postgraduate examination postponed. Next date to be decided later, says Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. Sufficient stock of medical oxygen is available in the country, the centre assured the states. Drug Controller General of India to take decision on usage of foreign COVID-19 vaccines within 3 days of their applications. Over 11 crore 44 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered in the country so far. Union Home Secretary holds a high-level meeting to review COVID-19 situation in Madhya Pradesh. Weekend curfew to be imposed in national capital from tomorrow night to contain spread of COVID-19. Class 10th and 12th board examinations postponed by several state governments. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asks Indian Air Force to draw up long-term strategies to counter future threats. India is looking towards kick-starting hydrogen ecosystem development, says Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Campaigning concludes for by-polls to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 Assembly constituencies across the country. Voting ends peacefully for the first phase of Panchayat elections in 18 districts of Uttar Pradesh. And an IPL cricket match underway between Rajasthan Royals and Delhi Capitals at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the evening news on All India Radio. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has asked the Indian Air Force to draw up long-term plans and strategies for capability enhancement to counter future threats. Mr. Singh was addressing the biannual Indian Air Force IAF Commanders Conference in New Delhi today. The Defence Minister congratulated the Indian Air Force for ensuring a timely and befitting response to the sudden developments in eastern Ladakh. He appreciated the critical focus of IAF towards reorienting for the future. Referring to the changing international geopolitics, the minister observed that the perceptible shift of focus from transatlantic to trans-Pacific has become more obvious in the recent past. Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today said that India is looking towards kick-starting the hydrogen ecosystem development. Mr. Pradhan was addressing a function on Hydrogen Economy New Delhi Dialogue 2021. The minister said that the government has taken various initiatives with respect to the greater use of hydrogen in India's energy mix. He said it had recently announced the National Hydrogen Mission in the Union Budget 2021 for making a hydrogen roadmap for the country. The election campaign ended this evening for the by-elections to 2 Lok Sabha seats, including Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh and Belgaum in Karnataka, along with 12 assembly constituencies spread over 9 states. The by-polls to Lok Sabha seats and Assembly constituencies will be held on Saturday, simultaneously with the fifth phase of Assembly elections in West Bengal. The Assembly seats where by-polls will take place include 3 in Rajasthan, 2 in Karnataka, and 1 each in Gujarat, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Mizoram, Telangana, and Uttarakhand. There are 151 candidates in the fray for 12 Assembly seats, indicating largely multi-cornered contests. In Odisha, the by-election to Pipli Assembly seat has been postponed following the death of Congress candidate Ajay Mangaraj yesterday. Briefing the media in capital Bhubaneswar today, the Chief Election Officer Sushil Kumar Lohani said that the Election Commission will issue a fresh notification in this regard. Earlier, H. Chuba Chang was declared elected unopposed, being the only candidate in fray for the Noksen Assembly seat in Nagaland. In West Bengal, campaigning ended yesterday for the fifth phase of Assembly elections. The state is witnessing 8-phase election this time. The Election Commission had extended the silence period to 72 hours from 48 hours for the fifth phase of Assembly polls in the state after violence in Cooch Behar district in the fourth phase of polling. Polling in fifth phase will be held on Saturday for 45 seats spread across 6 districts of Purba Bardhaman, Jalpaiguri, Kalimpong, Darjeeling, North 24 Parganas and Nadia. 319 candidates, including 39 women, are in the fray in this phase. The Election Commission has set up 12,198 polling stations for 11 million voters. Our correspondent reports that fifth phase is crucial as maximum number of seats are going to the polls this time.
During the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, BJP had gained more votes than TMC in the constituencies of tea plantations. Hence, TMC, Congress and the left parties have been focusing on these constituencies. This phase is crucial for BJP and TMC. Some of the key constituencies to observe in this phase are Siliguri, Jalpaiguri, Parasat, Panihati and Fulbadi. Due to the election season, the cities were entirely covered with political party flags, large photographs of leaders, wall paintings, buntings and posters. Since the public campaigning has ended due to the silence period extension by the Election Commission and also because today is Bengali New Year, the streets were free from campaign vehicles, rallies and processions. Sudhindra, AIR News, Kolkata.
The election campaign is gaining momentum for the sixth phase. In all, 43 Assembly seats spread over 4 districts of West Bengal will go to polls on the 22nd of April in this phase. BJP leader and Union Minister Smriti Irani held roadshows in Malda town, English Bazaar and Maltipur of Malda district. She also addressed a rally after the roadshow. TMC Chief and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee held a roadshow in Kolkata today. Senior Samajwadi Party leader and actor Jaya Bachchan attended the roadshow.
The Election Commission has banned BJP West Bengal Chief Dilip Ghosh from campaigning for 24 hours starting 7 p.m. today over his controversial remarks on the Sitalkuchi violence incident. The Commission has termed his remarks as a violation of Model Code of Conduct. The Commission has also issued a notice to West Bengal BJP leader Sayantan Basu for his alleged inflammatory remark during campaign and asked him to explain his stand within 24 hours. The Election Commission today dismissed the speculations of clubbing the remaining phases of West Bengal Assembly elections into one. The Commission officials clarified that there is no such plan of clubbing remaining phases of elections in the state.
Voting concluded peacefully for the first phase of Panchayat elections in 18 districts of Uttar Pradesh today. No untoward incident was reported from anywhere in the state during the polling, barring a few sporadic incidents at some places. Top police and administrative officials visited the polling booths in their areas throughout the day to maintain peace and law and order situation. Despite the scorching heat, long queues of people were seen at the polling centres. The voters were wearing masks and maintaining social distancing. Strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocol was observed during the polling amid growing number of coronavirus cases in the state. In this first phase, 69,541 members for village panchayats, 85 village pradhan and 550 district panchayat members have already been elected unopposed in the state. Uttar Pradesh panchayat elections are being held in 4 phases. The counting of votes will take place on the 2nd of May. India's merchandise exports rose 60.3% at $34.5 billion in March compared to the same month last year, while country's imports jumped 54% to $48.4 billion, according to a data by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. During the 2020-21 financial year, India's overall merchandise and services exports dipped 6.6% to $493.2 billion over the same period last year. Overall imports in April-March 2020-21 declined 16.5% to $505.9 billion.
Domestic benchmark indices today inched higher about 0.5% in a volatile trade amid mixed global cues. A report from the Business World.
The Sensex gained 260 points or 0.5% to end at 48,804. The Nifty also appreciated 77 points or 0.5% to close at 14,581. Oil prices edged lower in intraday trade. The Brent was trading around $66.30 per barrel, and the rupee at the foreign exchange market appreciated 45 paisa to 74 rupees and 92 paisa against the US dollar. Anubha Rohatgi for AIR News.
Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri today launched the East Smart Cities Challenge and Transport for All Challenge through video conferencing. East Smart Cities Challenge is an opportunity for India to play a pioneering role in developing the concept of integrating food systems into city planning and development. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said this movement will nudge the urban populace to make the right food choices and help build a healthier and happier nation. The Transport for All Challenge aims to bring together cities, citizen groups and startups to develop solutions that improve public transport to better serve the needs of all the citizens. Mr. Puri said that COVID-19 has brought the entire world to a halt, with transport being one of the worst hit sectors.
Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has stressed on the need to provide education that could make one self-reliant. Addressing at the 34th convocation of Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU, through virtual mode, Mr. Pokhriyal said self-reliance is the key highlight of the new education policy that integrates vocational education, bringing constructive changes in the education system. In IPL T20 cricket, the match is underway between Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan Royals at Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Delhi Capitals were 107 for 6 in 16 overs against Rajasthan when reports last came in. Earlier, Rajasthan Royals elected to field after winning the toss. Last night, Royal Challengers Bangalore defeated Sunrisers Hyderabad by 6 runs at M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have thunderstorm with rain. The temperature will hover between 22 and 38 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will vary between 23 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder lightning. The city will observe minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 37 degrees. Srinagar will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Temperature will hover between 7 and 12 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees. Leh is expected to have light snow. Minimum and maximum temperature will be between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 10 and 23 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is also likely to have thunderstorm with rain. A new study by an international team of researchers says Africa's largest coffee-producing nation, Ethiopia, will be producing less specialty coffee and more rather bland-tasting varieties in the future. It said climate change has made conflicting impacts on coffee production in Ethiopia. The report published in the journal Scientific Reports is relevant both for the country's millions of smallholder farmers who earn more from specialty coffee than an ordinary coffee around the world. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. NEET postgraduate examination postponed. Next date to be decided later, says Union Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. Sufficient stock of medical oxygen is available in the country, Centre assures states. Drugs Controller General of India to take decision on usage of foreign COVID-19 vaccines within 3 days of their applications. Over 11 crore 44 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered in the country so far. Union Home Secretary holds high-level meeting to review COVID-19 situation in Madhya Pradesh. Weekend curfew to be imposed in National Capital from tomorrow night to contain spread of COVID-19. Class 10th and 12th board examinations postponed by several state governments. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asks Indian Air Force to draw up long-term strategies to counter future threats. India is looking towards kick-starting hydrogen ecosystem development, says Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Campaigning concludes for by-polls to 2 Lok Sabha seats and 12 assembly constituencies across the country. And in IPL cricket, the match is underway between Rajasthan Royals and Delhi Capitals. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.